join us if you wish. Oh, yeah, that's what most people say. You're recording? Yes. Okay. Right, okay. Now you tell me. All right. Hello, everybody, and thank you for coming to the final presentation of the day. I take it you're all very interested in the world of payments. It's a sexy area. There are more fintech companies around today than there have ever been. There's always new things going on. So what I have today actually is a couple of customer stories where I'm going to talk about how Omnipayments has helped them, how they've implemented it, what benefits they've got from it. So this is aiming to be not a product presentation, but a customer story presentation. So hopefully it will have some relevance to you as users of payment systems. So, I've got a little agenda here, 1 through 5, a very brief interview of Omnipayments, then look at the client case studies, look at the requirements, and then we want to just go through the different paths that they took, because they did take very different paths, how they implemented it, and what the results were. So, the Omnipayments company is a relatively small boutique company. We've been around for 27 years, dedicated to the non-stop space. We have customers all over the world, but a lot in the Americas, where we have a growing presence around the rest of the world. We're headquartered in Silicon Valley, so we're close to the HPE headquarters there, and we serve banks, processors, and retailers, and anybody else that wants to do anything payments-wise. So across the world, we have different data centers where we host systems of our own. We have we serve banks, retailers, processors, telcos. We've got 24/7 hosting sites where we offer customer support. We also have 150 non-stop experts that work for the company that help to develop and support those clients based across the US, India, Puerto Rico, Mexico, and Colombia. So we have offices in all those places. And Chile also. So we have quite a presence in Latin America. So what we do is we recognize we're in a world now where customers are demanding ever more from their payment switch, from their payment providers, because the mobile phone has changed everything. The mobile phone now dictates what services people want, what banking services they want, how they want to pay, how merchants want to accept payments, how they want to turn over their restaurant tables more and more quickly. So we have to deliver these card payments or these transactional payments quickly, without delay, without loss of security, without too much friction, in a way that works for merchants, works for consumers, and works for all of the processors. So the Omnipayments family today consists of, or the clients consist of quite a number of companies in the banking arena, in the retail space, in the processor space, in telco space, and we work with a number of partners. So in the banking arena, we've got Banamex, Citibank, Banco Popular, BCI, Synchrony, Wells Fargo, Nordea, Banco Estado, Rabobank, and Banco Agrario de Colombia. So we've got quite a few different customers there in the banking arena doing different things. We've had success with JCPenney. We've had success with Home Depot and Casale in Mexico. And then we work with a number of card processors who process on behalf of the banks, who have external services, as well as the telcos and some of those partners. So that's enough of Omnipayments, the company. Client case studies are the following. So we're looking at Banco Estado in Chile and Synchrony in the United States. Again, these two companies have different markets and different requirements. So in the case of Banco Estado, this is the most banked country in the region. So Chile is that very long, thin country that runs down the west coast of Latin America, all the way down to all the way down to Antarctica. In fact, they have a territory in Antarctica where they have an agency office, and they're in the very fortunate position of having something like 80% of their population as customers. So everybody has an account virtually with Banco Estado. These people wanted to get into the merchant acquiring business, but they didn't want to have to buy a non-stop. They didn't want to have to get trained up, but they wanted to get into the business quickly. So they came to Omnipayments and asked if we could give them a cloud-based service to allow them to execute quickly and get to market. So that's what we did for them, and we started that project in 2020, and it was a merchant acquiring role that we provided for them. Further north, we work with Synchrony, which is the old GE Capital, who are an issuer of credit cards to merchants. So merchants such as Amazon, Lowe's, Guitar Center, Gap, Cathay Pacific, the airline, Rakuten, Verizon and Sam's Club all count on Synchrony to help them issue or provide their credit cards. So Synchrony is an issuer of credit cards, and they have to therefore not only issue the plastic, but also issue virtualized cards. They have to authorize all the transactions when the customers use those cards. They have to execute all the fraud management on that. So Synchrony was an on-premise customer. They had an application running on their premise, and they wanted us to provide them a solution on site. So let's look at the requirements. So Synchrony, for example, had a business model where they wanted to reduce the costs of their fact clients. So they came to us and say, please help us to modernize our JSON APIs. We don't really have any APIs right now. We need to implement those and improve the interfaces to back-end systems. And they also said, please help make our on-prem service more market flexible. So one of the challenges of using a fact client and giving a fact client to your customers is that fact clients at some point need upgrading. And then you have all sorts of version control issues. Some customers have one version, some customers have another, and you end up having to support multiple fact clients on different customers' PCs. So we managed to, in this project, they wanted us to replace that fact client with a modern UI. And so we looked at a browser-based solution for that. They also said to us, please no code changes. Change absolutely no code at all. And please do it quickly. We want to get to market quickly with this. And it needs to be extremely cost effective. So we went with a license model for them, an on-prem license model. Banco Estado, on the other hand, we're an existing bank with a very good presence. Everybody knew of the company, and the national processor, or I should say the national the national auditor, competition company said, yeah, but you can get into the acquiring business. So they were given a license. They were given a license to get into the acquiring business, and they wanted to get there quickly, but they had no idea how quickly it would grow. They didn't want to invest in non-stop. They didn't want to invest in skills. So we gave them a cloud-based solution and helped them to implement an acquiring-based solution. So the two different paths that they took, as I mentioned, Synchrony was an on-premise solution. Banco Estado, very much an on-demand Omni Cloud X or cloud-based solution. So we host that solution for them. So with Omnipayments on-premise, we offer a one-time software license model. So literally there's a one-time license and they get up and running. There are no transaction fees at all with Omnipayments. We don't charge for an on-premise solution. So you can use it to whatever, as your business grows and you process more transactions, there's no revenue sharing to be done there. So there was large savings, and it was very much an Omnipayments software, Omnipayments operations model. On the other hand, the cloud-based solution is a pay-for-use system. So you're only paying for what you use. It runs on HP Non-Stop X. It comes with a business dashboard. It's an affordable switching service for mid-sized retailers who want somebody to handle that growth for them. It comes with hot standby. It complements the security functions, meets PCI DSS security, and there's no downtime for maintenance or upgrades because we host all that and do that for the customers. So it's an easy growth path, no skills requirement, and we provide Omnipayments hardware, software, all the operations, and the data center. So effectively, as a OmniCloud customer, you just plug in your devices. So Synchrony had an interesting setup. They had a lot of mobile users wanting to connect into the service, and they had a lot of back-end services that they needed to connect into. They also had a bit of a challenge in that the non-stop was under threat, so they wanted to provide a mechanism whereby we would increase the role of the non-stop and do more with the non-stop so that it increased the value of that system in the long term. So we put a JSON XML adapter at the front end, gave that access into an ODS database, and switched all the transactions through to the back-end services like statement inquiry, like sign-on, like transaction processing. So they had a number of programs coming in from the front end, and they had some C programs as well that were coming through. So the non-stop with Omnipayments on it became an inter-process message to JSON translation unit, coming into their non-stop, and then switching that through to the back-end Linux systems which were already in place at Synchrony. So all of the back-end services were running on Linux, and the non-stop was being used as a front end to switch all those transactions through. So those programs at the front end were able to talk JSON in a way that they were happy to do, and this was in preparation for browser access. And the back-end services were just receiving traditional inter-process messages, or all the messages that they were happy to do on the Linux system. So inside the system itself, there was XML, REST APIs going into XML and JSON IPM conversion, and they were able to talk to the Synchrony financial pathway system. And then long term, there's a plan to move to direct MPLS messaging. So Synchrony also need to open up their processing to come through public gateways, such as those offered by Azure and Amazon Web Services. So the clients that want to connect into the Synchrony service can do so by using public payment switches that Azure and Amazon Web Services offer. So the devices come over the internet through the API gateway, through the Azure instance, and then into the non-stop server that we run on behalf of the client. And then that can get switched through to any authorizer that's required to authorize. Could be Visa, could be MasterCard, could be Pulse, whomever it is that's authorizing those transactions. And it's exactly the same for Amazon Web Services. So we have Compute EC2 running inside Amazon Web Services that again talks to the non-stop server. So we're taking in transactions, the Omnipayment is taking in transactions from Azure and from Amazon Web Services. Synchrony also use Swagger to generate the Omnipayments APIs. So we help them build those APIs using the Swagger protocol, which is one of the most commonly used protocols that the finance industry is using. On the other hand, Banco Estado is an e-commerce customer, so they've got they've got customers with virtual trolleys that want to come in and to buy goods. So through Amazon Web Services, they use a service called BECH or BEC, and so we're able there to again use REST APIs, JSON message formats, WS secure symmetric keys, sensitive data which is encrypted using shared keys, and then we secure between Amazon Web Services and the operation data centers using VPNs. So, and then we use Omni Replicator between the two nodes of the Omni Cloud X. So again, in this instance, they have to have, there's no knowledge required of a non-stop. They don't even know they've got a non-stop. All they know is that they are processing card transactions. So as a business user, we've taken away all their requirements for bringing in hardware, getting everybody trained up, installing it into the environment. So the time to market is much quicker, and they're able to switch their transactions through to Visa and MasterCard or whoever else they need to do it. They also connect something they call Smart POS, so a direct POS connection, again coming through AWS into BEC, and that application Compraki, which runs on the Omni Cloud X instance there, which switches through to Visa and MasterCard. So in terms of results, Synchrony has had a lot of good results here. The solution integrates with existing programs without any changes. So we're able to preserve their investment in all of their development. We've added the ability to accept various APIs, ISO, XML, and JSON, and we've transformed the client to handle new APIs. So we hope we've future-proofed their environment for the time being. So customer inquiries are now able to be satisfied by the call centers, by online inquiries. So they've got a transaction history of up to 6 months within the switch. We've simplified transaction investigation, so it's much quicker now to investigate transactions. We've increased the value of the data, and we've eliminated all the fat client costs that they have and all the support costs around that. This was a project that's kicked off in 2018. We actually completed it within 3 months. That was a very fast project. We put a lot of resources on the project and delivered it in early 2019. So there were significant long-term cost savings for the platform, and we've removed all the former solution limitations. And that is a conclusion of my presentation. Any questions?
Are you going to be supporting the open banking APIs in the future?
The open banking APIs, yes, we have plans to support the open banking APIs in the future. Yes, we do. There's a lot of talk about open banking APIs. We recognise that in this market we're going to have to